Pride flags removed from U.S. outposts worldwide.
Absolutely great news.
Starting immediately, only the United States of America flag is authorized to be flown.
Should have always been the case.
That's kind of reasonable for U.S.
What's
property
that guy
bases and
standing
things,
in
right?
front of?
What is this?
That another country's flag?
I think that's is it?
I hope not.
The Trump administration has implemented the new one flag policy requiring all U.S. embassies and government outposts, both domestic and international, to exclusively fly the American flag. It is absolutely creepy and a bit terrifying that U.S. embassies and outposts were flying a flag of ideology.
It's just about sexuality, too, which is super weird.
Well, no, they put the black and the brown stripe on it, so.
Oh, okay.
And often flying them in countries, it's a deliberate act of antagonizing a lot of these countries that don't believe in this nonsense. And this is another one of those things that, you know, it goes to show that what we consider conservative policy ideas, the vast majority of them are really just common sense, and they have wide approval. Because if you go, I don't care, left, right, center, and if someone had no context and you ask them, well, do you think it makes sense for embassies to only fly American flags? American embassies? Like almost everyone said, well, yeah, of course. What else would they fly? What do you mean? And yet these kinds of things were happening all over the place. And as much as the left talks about democracy and the will of the people, they were happening even though the vast majority of people don't support it. And the only reason they got away with it is because the vast majority of people didn't really know that it was happening.
And everybody knows to reference the comment that I was just making is everyone knows that if you put up a flag with a Christian cross on it or anything like that, the left would have had an absolute aneurysm. Sure. And those flags are without a doubt a religious flag to the left. Mm-hmm. So the fact that these things are being taken down, the left is having an absolute fit about it because you're mocking their religion, and they really look like they had conquered Christianity in the United States, which I think would be a terrible thing. Again, even though I'm generally an agnostic dude, I think that having gender ideology as the religion that the United States worships, I think there's probably nothing that's worse for society, considering what you end up with is cutting the body parts off of children.
It's pretty perverse.
I think it's reasonable to take religious iconography off of U.S. bases. And I don't know what U.S. outposts are. I haven't really heard that term thrown around. I know U.S. embassies.
I don't necessarily agree. I actually have no real concern of Christian iconography in government places the way the liberals really do.
It's also historical.
In our courts, they swear on Bibles. They offer up other texts. When the president is being sworn in, they offer up a Bible.
Oh, they offer it. Yeah, Trump didn't touch the Bible.
Yeah, I guess people were upset about that. But whatever.
Said that.
And there's been an effort throughout my life to try and make the claim that the U.S. government should never have these things, but are part of our moral tradition. And so if I go to a court building or I go to an embassy and there's something related to Christianity, it's just normal. It's been that way in this country for a long time. It is the root of our morality in this country. Yeah. To replace that with an insane ideology that harms children is devastating. So I think the philosophical approach I've been taking, the way I've been approaching this for the past, year or so, has been more post-liberal. This idea of these universal principles apply to all things is just incorrect. And this as an example, came when I was debating Bobby Sauce on the issue of TikTok. And he said, look, we don't believe in big government, so we shouldn't give the government the power to do these things. And my point was, there are some things that are morally good. There are some things that are morally bad. Just because we ban one doesn't mean we ban all. And people make the argument that, if we don't ban the left, if we implement a law that will stop the left from doing this one bad thing, later on they can use it against us. And it's like, okay, well, they're doing a bad thing now. We're not going to let them keep doing it just because one day someone might do another bad thing. We stop things we don't like that are bad, and that is, they're flying these flags of ideology that are abhorrent and have been destructive to this country. Stop. Christianity, largely good for this country.
Okay, this is a little bit of a tangent, but what's up with the cross? Like, it's what they killed the dude with. If your prophet was murdered with a gun, you wouldn't put a gun on a flag and fly that thing. So the cross is a prophet.
Jesus Christ's sacrifice and death was the salvation of mankind, and so that's what the cross signifies.
It's salvation.
I feel like
and a stark reminder of what was sacrificed, which was pretty pretty heavy stuff there.
But like if Jesus was like, I'm not going to do it, I'm not going to do it, and they're like, then die, and they put a gun to his head and killed him, and then they put the gun on the flag, I'd be like, bro, he still got sacrificed. But
okay. First of all, you're arguing something entirely different.
I know it's not. It's not even the point.
But I want to stress this, that there is this, as I mentioned, this long-standing effort my whole life to say that religion should be entirely separate, the separation of church and state, and all of these things. But it is in our Constitution, in our founding documents, in literally what helped the founding fathers craft this country that worked so well was quite literally the Christian religion. I am not a Christian. I don't follow the same beliefs as Matt, and some people have told me I will burn in hell, whatever. But I understand logic, and I can look at the history of this country and see where we are and why we got here, and the beliefs that led us to this place, and say those were good things. Largely, some things we progressed upon. We got rid of slavery. We did things like that, which means we've improved upon ourselves. How did we come to the point where we developed these ideas, wrote them down, and it's our moral tradition? So again, if I see a school and they tell kids, like, here are some of the things that we believe, we want to put the 10 Commandments in a courtroom or whatever, I'm like, yeah, I don't care. Like,
it's the 10 Commandments. I'm also not offended by Hammurabi's code. So much of this is also historical. It's like we just threw out common sense and wisdom.
Yes.
And these things, to your point, like, you don't have to like it. It doesn't matter how you feel about it. It is just a fact that our system of government is built on Christian ideals. It just simply is. And so this is part of our history. It's part of our identity as a nation, which is why you're exactly right that there is a major difference between a freaking pride flag and a cross. The pride flag has nothing to do with the history of this nation. Nothing good has ever been achieved under the pride flag. Now the cross, and I know you were being a bit, you didn't mean it totally seriously, and I hear this kind of comment. Well, why the cross? And you say it in kind of a flippant way, but it's a valid question. Well, why that? And the answer is that it's the Christ's death and resurrection was our salvation, but also the cross itself. And if you're not a Christian, you don't get it. It doesn't mean a lot to you. I understand that, but our civilization was built under this symbol. People marched under this symbol, not just in this country, but across the Western world. And we live in the civilization that we do. And every good thing that we have in our lives is really because the people believed in the cross and they went out and they did incredible things and they fought and they died for the sake of the cross. And so I think that even if I wasn't Christian, and it's hard for me to put myself in that mindset, but even if I wasn't Christian, as someone who respects history and who is a big fan of Western civilization, it's the civilization I live in, it's a great civilization, I would still have a respect for the cross for that reason alone. That
radically
exactly
changed,
my position.
Christianity radically changed the way that people deal with each other, our human interactions. Women were treated much better.
Yep.
Through Christianity. We were no longer considered like cattle. It doesn't mean that we're the same as men or that we need to be, weird, freaky, OnlyFans sex people. Slaves were treated better. Oh, that's so terrible. Well, it was the precedent across the entire globe.
And slavery was abolished
through Christianity.
Through Christianity. The reason why we live in this country right now and why this whole hemisphere is not currently dominated by stone-aged savage cultures who rip the hearts out of their enemies and eat them and kill and enslave women and children. The reason why that's not the case is that people came here primarily to spread the Christian gospel.
People need to watch Apocalypto.
Oh, it's great.
Mel Gibson does a real good job, doesn't he?
I believe in the power of Christianity and the general ethos of the meaning of the story and everything, a lot about it. But I'm also nervous about icons and worshiping icons because the whole Elon threw his hand out and it's like, bro, it's the meaning behind the symbol. Like the swastika was the wheel of life, it was the turning of life, the Hindu symbol of peace or whatever it meant. But it was a healthy symbol of growth and change, and then this wild ideological party came along and co-opted it and made it seem like an evil symbol.
I've got to implore you to maybe perhaps watch some George Carlin comedy. There's a 1992, I think it was 92 special, where George Carlin literally says every racial slur imaginable and then ends by calling Eddie Murphy and Richard Pryor the N-word.
That is
and let me finish. Yeah. And everyone laughs. And then George Carlin says, it's not the word, it's the man behind them.
That's
and you
it.
know that I don't actually feel that way about these guys. The point he was making was that the actions of the individual matter. When Elon Musk grabs his chest and then grunts and throws his arm
says,
up,
my heart goes out to you, and he like throws his energy out to the field.
but it doesn't matter if it resembled the Roman salute. It matters the man behind what had happened. And Elon was not hailing Hitler or praising an ideology. He was literally saying, thanks to all of you, my heart goes out to you.
Yeah.
So we ask ourselves, what is the intention and who is the man behind the words? Elon Musk was not in the process of being a white supremacist.
And no one really believes that Elon Musk is a Nazi. Of course he's not. And if we lived in a saner culture, then we could just have a laugh about it. Like it's objectively kind of funny that he made that gesture and he meant to say what it meant for him was I'm sending my heart out to you.
Right.
Like that's just funny. So you laugh at it and then you move on. But to your point about icons, I mean, it goes back to not all icons are the same, but also this is just part of what it means to be a human being. Like symbolism and icons, it means something to us. I think it's one of the things that makes us people. I mean, if you show a symbol means nothing to, a monkey or a rhinoceros. It means nothing to them. But to human beings, we imbue these things with meaning. And now, if you want to get really, utilitarian about it, and it's like, well, why? I mean, why that exact collection of lines and stuff that looks like why does that matter? And you could dissect it to death, but I think sort of the answer is, well, just because we're human. I mean, it's because we're human.
Sacred geometry and things like cymatics, where vibration will cause certain shapes.
Exactly. Human written language is these are all symbols. Letters are just symbols that mean something else, that stand for something else.
Ian, it's actually quite simple. I can explain to you iconography. They're simply human compression files. That's it. When Matt Walsh sees the symbol of the cross, all of the information related to Christianity it lights up in his mind.
I think about this: the Hebrew alphabet, the ancient text of the Hebrew alphabet. I think they were sitting like, if you study cymatics, where you'll change the frequency and you have like sand on a vibrating membrane, you get these wild shapes and patterns will appear depending on what frequency. So these dudes are on a beach and they have a goat skin and they're playing the drums and they're throwing sand gets on the drums and they go, oh, they make a certain sound and then it makes a certain pattern. And they're like, whoa. So they write that pattern down and they remember that's the sound of that shape. And that's where alphabet comes from. Potentially. That's sort of what
I don't think that's true, because there's many different languages that have different symbols for different sounds.
That's true.
Thanks for checking out this clip from Timcast IRL. Make sure to watch the show live Monday through Friday at 8 p.m. Subscribe to this channel, and we will see you all there.